Oh, right. So, I've rewritten this fucking script 3 times now. 3. And I want you to understand why. It's not because I'm indecisive, it's because every time I sit down to finish it, Microsoft does something else that changes the ending. Version 1 was going to be a nice little 5-minute let's shit on Bethesda video. Fun, easy, cathartic. Version 2 turned into a whole thing about Xbox 100-day memo because that felt important enough to actually do properly. Version 3 had to get rewritten when Asha Sharma laid off 1,600 people last Monday. And this version, the one you're actually watching, had to get another chunk redone a couple days ago, because on July 8th, I got drunk as shit, and Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reported that Obsidian is now making a new Fallout game, led by Josh Sawyer, the guy who directed New Vegas, with Bethesda in a support role, quote-unquote, but make no mistake about what actually happened here. Xbox just took Fallout away from Todd. And listen, I want to be the guy who says he saw this coming, I really do, but even I didn't think it would actually happen this fast. I'd fully convinced myself I'd never live to see another Fallout back in competent hands. And then Asha Sharma spends one Monday firing people, and by Wednesday she was quietly reassigning one of the biggest franchises in gaming to a different studio. That's how bad it's gotten. That's how quickly this is moving. Hell froze over and Obsidian is in charge of Fallout again, and the reason that's true is the entire reason for this video. Let's refocus on the Xbox layoffs. I'm sure we were all shocked, devastated, positively bewildered when we heard. No one except the entire fucking world could see this coming. I mean, spin a wheel, any wheel, you're gonna land on a studio mid-collapse or a team quietly waiting to find out if they'll still have jobs by Friday. Even Battlefield 6, the best-selling game of 2025, mind you, couldn't protect the studios that built it from layoffs. It's getting really bad out there. It feels like your game can't just do well anymore. If you're a developer and you want to keep your job, it seems like you need to be working on something that's gonna set the world on fire. Second place ain't coming with silver medals anymore. You're getting pink slips. I'm exaggerating, but only by a bit. If you're working on something quieter, something smaller, something with a soul but not a 9-figure marketing budget, let me just read to you from my Tomb of the Dead. Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games, Double Fine, Undead Labs, that one particularly hurts. These are names that meant something, names attached to real beloved work, and as of last week, they've all been spun off to whoever will have them. Xbox didn't even shut them down properly, just quietly put them up for adoption and moved on. This industry has a fucking habit of devouring the things people love. But I'm not here to talk about Xbox as a whole. Xbox as a whole will survive. Microsoft is one of the richest companies on earth. Nadella will absorb the losses, sell off what he doesn't want, and Xbox will limp forward in whatever shape shareholders demand. I'm here to talk about one specific studio. You already know who it is, Bethesda. A studio that until last week was the sole steward of 2 of the most beloved franchises in gaming history. I truly think the situation Bethesda is in is a lot more dire than anyone's willing to admit right now. And I know, before I get into it, I already hear some of you. Why are you talking about Xbox? I thought this was supposed to be about Bethesda. Yeah, fair. 2 reasons. 1, Microsoft owns Bethesda now, so their problems are Bethesda's problems, whether Bethesda likes it or not. And 2, before I focus on Bethesda for the rest of this video, I need you to see the ground they're standing on, because the San Andreas Vault is more stable than Xbox right now, and Bethesda built their entire future on top of it. So, the memo. Back in June, Xbox CEO Asha Sharma and Matt Booty sent out an internal memo calling for something called the next 100 days, Xbox Reset. It got out, as internal memos always do. And I want you to sit with what's inside that memo, because it isn't corporate positivity. It isn't, we're excited about the future. It's a fucking autopsy performed on a body that's still technically breathing. Over the last decade, Microsoft has spent more than $80 billion buying gaming studios. Please really hear that number, because it doesn't sound real when you say it once. $2.5 billion for Mojang, $7.5 billion for Bethesda and everything ZeniMax owned, Arcane, id Software, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, and then in the deal that dwarfs every other acquisition in the history of this industry, $68.7 billion for Activision Blizzard King, plus 7 more studios Microsoft bought without even disclosing the price. Here's what that empire is worth today. Xbox closed the year on a 3% profit margin. 3%. That's Denny's numbers. not the margins of the gaming division of one of the wealthiest corporations on earth. Oh, but stay with me, kiddos, because it somehow gets worse. Last Monday, Sharma sent out a follow-up email, and then for reasons known only to God and her PR team, she tweeted it. 3,200 layoffs across fiscal year 2027, 600 people out the door before lunch. 4 studios spun off to whoever will take them. Sharma called it the most significant restructure in Xbox history, which, yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen a gaming company have to clean house on this scale. And then it got worse again, because tucked inside that email was a number that made the 3% margin look generous. Sharma admitted in writing on Microsoft letterhead publicly that Xbox has lost 64 cents on every dollar invested. 64 cents on the dollar. The 100-day memo called it overextended. That's not overextended, it's a fucking hemorrhage. It's 10 years of someone quietly setting money on fire in the parking lot. Except it wasn't quiet and it wasn't secret. We all know who was lighting the matches. His name is Phil Spencer. And I had a whole section written about this guy, like a genuinely long, dedicated portion of this video where I was gonna walk you through his entire arc, from savior of Xbox to the man who spent his way into a corner. But I cut it out, because I want this video to stay focused on Bethesda. And every minute I spend yelling about Phil Spencer is a minute I'm not spending on the studio that's actually in trouble. But I can't skip him entirely because you cannot tell this story without him. Phil Spencer spent over $80 billion fucking dollars on seemingly every big studio under the sun and proceeded to do jack shit with it. Like, he genuinely seemed to believe that just buying the studios was enough. Like, the games would just appear. Like he was playing some kind of tycoon game and forgot that in real life, the studios had to actually ship something. Seriously, how is one man allowed to buy this much? Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, Mojang, studios stacked on studios like a hoarder who just discovered real estate. And the whole time, the pitch was, this is how Xbox wins. Meanwhile, Phil Spencer is standing in front of a microphone saying out loud, we're not trying to be PlayStation. Which, respect for honesty, I guess, but you don't get to spend $80 billion acquiring the most iconic franchises in gaming history and also wave the white flag on the console wars. Pick a fucking lane! And now, he's gone. Rode off into the sunset, left the whole thing, the failing tycoon game, the studios, the $80 billion tab, all with Asha Sharma. Or Asha. I mean, not entirely. The woman is almost certainly a millionaire. She's fine. But she walked into a burning building with a mop, and even if she puts the fire out, everyone's still gonna blame her for the damages. The layoffs went out on Monday, and by Monday afternoon, the internet was already writing think pieces about how Asha ruined Xbox. Now, I'm not trying to defend a millionaire here, but the studio shutdowns were inevitable. Not just because of the industry-wide recession, not just because of the hardware crisis, because Phil Spencer spent $80 billion building a kingdom that couldn't afford its own furniture, and somebody was gonna have to sell some of it. She didn't light this fire, Phil lit this fire. Asha just showed up one day with the whole smoke alarm already screaming. And credit where it's due, she's actually been good at the cleanup so far, dropping the Game Pass price, killing that fuck-ass "this is an Xbox" campaign, bringing back exclusives, getting co-pilot off console. The woman is triaging a car crash with grocery bags and doing a better job at it than anyone had a right to expect. Which brings me back to the memo, because there was one line in there that I keep coming back to. It is neither possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. That's a CEO admitting that the acquisitions were a mistake. Not the strategy, not the execution, the premise. The whole idea of owning them all. That's Asha Sharma looking at an $80 billion empire and saying some of these houses should have never been ours in the first place. And then she proved it. Compulsion, Double Fine, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, all 4 spun off in the same memo. But it seems like when Sharma said we are not the best home for every type of studio, she meant to apply that to their IPs too. Because then 2 days later, Bloomberg reported Xbox had pulled Fallout out of Bethesda's development pipeline and handed it to Obsidian. Bethesda demoted to a support role on their own franchise. That's not really a real estate decision, it's more like Sharma looking at Bethesda's actual track record and deciding one of the 2 crown jewel IPs Phil paid $7.5 billion for was safer in someone else's hands. The studio spin-offs were about the balance sheet, this one's about competence. And I think you can tell which one should scare Bethesda more. So look, I'm gonna be straight with you about where I actually land on all this. The bell tolling for Bethesda, the mess they're in, it's not entirely their fault. It really isn't. I'd break it down and I'm dead serious about this ratio. It's about 70-30. 70% Bethesda's fault, 30% Phil fucking Spencer. Phil bought a studio that wasn't ready to carry his console generation and bet his whole strategy on their franchises anyway. That's on him. That's the 30. But the 70? The part where Bethesda has spent a decade shipping games that got worse instead of better, the part where they're trying to work at Rockstar's pace without Rockstar's quality control, the part where Xbox just took Fallout away from them because they couldn't be trusted to move it forward, that's on Bethesda, and that's where the rest of this video is going. Because Phil Spencer's fuck up is legendary, Asha Sharma's cleanup is legendary, but the studio at the center of the whole thing, the studio holding what's left of Xbox's first party ambition, is running out of time to prove they can still make the games they used to make. Let's finally talk about Bethesda. Okay, let's rip the band-aid off. Bethesda has not made a game worth a shit in over 10 years. And the last good game they made had a list of issues a million miles long. Before any of you start, I've sunk over 1,000 hours into Fallout 4, collectively. I know exactly what makes that game worth revisiting from time to time. With mods. And that right there is the whole problem, isn't it? Because it's not cute anymore. It's not cute that Fallout 4 is still barely functional without mods a decade later. It's not cute that half the DLC was just letting you build slightly better dog shit in your base. It's not cute that Bethesda's current business model is reselling free mods on the Creation Club. And it's not cute that Fallout 4's main story has the same emotional range as a Gal Gadot performance. Actually, nah, that's unfair. Fallout 4 story tries. Bar Harbor was genuinely great. Nuke World let me play a raider and I had a blast. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I hated the game. But even at its best, Fallout 4 was a reminder of something I don't think Bethesda fans want to say out loud. Bethesda hates change. The only change they'll tolerate is the kind that lets them do less work. Fallout 4 was a dumbed-down Fallout 3, Skyrim was a dumbed-down Oblivion. Every generation, the RPG systems get shallower, the dialogue trees get simpler, the mechanics get streamlined into Oblivion, and every generation, Bethesda tells us it's more accessible. Like that's the same thing as better. But fine, that's an argument for another video. What matters now is what came after Fallout 4, because that's where the pattern stops being lazy and starts being alarming. Fallout 76, a game so broken on launch that there's a 3-hour YouTube video just cataloging the ways it didn't work. And honestly, I could make another one, but I wouldn't be saying anything new. There are a million of those videos out there, and every single one of them is still shorter than the actual bug list. But here's the part I want you to sit with. Because bugs are one thing, every big game ships with bugs. What Fallout 76 was on launch was something worse than broken. It was an alarming display of incompetence wrapped in some of the most shameless anti-consumer behavior I have ever seen from a first-party studio. And I haven't even gotten to the design decisions yet. Bethesda originally didn't want to put NPCs in Fallout 76. In a Fallout game. In the franchise they are known for. The response to fan outrage was essentially, make your own fun, make your own quest, make your own towns. Hell of a design philosophy. Did Bethesda just forget what people show up to buy their games for? Now, credit where it's due, they eventually walked it back. Somebody in that building must have realized how insane it was to ship a Fallout game with no NPCs, and they added them with the Wastelanders update. Good, thank God. That took 18 months to happen, but sure. We got there. And I'll be honest with you, the game is actually kind of fun now. I have a level 60 ghoul, he's a cowboy. Original, I know. I have genuinely enjoyed my time in Appalachia. But being fun and being fixed are not the same thing, because Fallout 76 in 2026, after 8 years of updates, patches, expansions, seasons, is still one of the buggiest games I've ever played. And I know, it's an online games have jank built in. But brother, Fallout 76 makes GTA Online servers look ironclad, and GTA Online is held together with prayers and duct tape. That's the pattern I want you to lock in, because it's not just that Fallout 76 launched bad, it's that Fallout 76 launched bad, and after nearly a decade of trying to fix it, it's still one of the roughest experiences in the AAA space. And then a few short years later, Starfield was released. Oh my god, Starfield. I could do a whole other video on Starfield alone, and honestly, if this video does well, maybe I will. Say 100 views, I don't know. But for now, the short version, aka the part that matters for this argument. Bethesda marketed Starfield on having 1,000 procedurally generated planets like it was some revolutionary innovation, as if no one had ever thought of it before, as if this was going to be the game that redefined open world design. No Man's Sky did the exact same thing 7 years earlier, and No Man's Sky Sky, even with all its stretches of boring nothing, still has genuinely cool planets in it. Starfield's don't. Every planet looks like a rejected Star Wars set with the lighting turned down. And here's what I actually think happened. Bethesda used 1,000 planets as a cover for the fact they didn't want to handcraft any of them. Compare that to Obsidian's Outer Worlds, smaller team, smaller budget, handcrafted planets in a game people still talk about 6 years later. That's what Starfield could have been. But handcrafting takes effort, and effort is not what Bethesda does anymore. And I want you to sit with how insane this is, because think about what Bethesda's reputation is actually built on. Nobody plays a Bethesda game for the story. Their stories have been mid at best for a decade. Nobody plays a Bethesda game for their gameplay. The shooting has always been janky, the melee has always been floppy, the RPG systems have been getting shallower with every release. Nobody plays a Bethesda game because it's technically polished. They are, historically, some of the buggiest AAA products in the industry. The one thing you could always count on with a Bethesda game was the world. The world was the reason. That's what Skyrim is. That's what Fallout 3 and New Vegas are. That's what Morrowind and Oblivion were. Fully handcrafted worlds where every cave had a story in it. Every abandoned shack had a note. Every random NPC had a reason to be where they were. You could get lost in a Bethesda game for 100 hours because someone put 100 hours into every corner of it. And when Starfield launched, Bethesda threw that shit out the window. This is the second time in 2 consecutive releases that Bethesda has directly attacked their own strengths. Fallout 76, let's take out the NPCs, the thing our fans show up for. Starfield, let's not handcraft the world, the thing our fans show up for. What is that? What is that pattern? Because it's not a mistake, not twice in a row. It's a studio that has genuinely, structurally forgotten what it's good at. And look, I could keep going. I could do an hour on Starfield alone. The story is a padded out fetch quest with alternate universes bolted onto the third act. The dialogue system is somehow worse than Fallout 4's. There are loading screens for loading screens, but I think you get the point. Fallout 76 was Bethesda proving they'd forgotten why people played their games. Starfield was Bethesda proving they hadn't figured it out in the 6 years since. Which brings us to a very uncomfortable question about the third game in this trilogy of self-sabotage. What is Bethesda going to forget about Elder Scrolls 6? Fallout 76 showed us Bethesda was too lazy to put NPCs in a Fallout game, which yes, Wastelanders fixed. But then Starfield showed us they were too lazy to build a world worth exploring. What is Elder Scrolls 6 going to show us they were too lazy to do? Because Skyrim, the game Bethesda's entire modern reputation is built on, was already criticized at launch for being watered down and handholdy compared to Oblivion. That was 2011, nearly 15 years ago, and Bethesda's trajectory since has been further dumbing down, not less. So what's the play for Elder Scrolls 6? Do they cut spells, remove the star signs, take out custom builds entirely? What corner is the streamline going to eat next? And that's the question I'd be asking regardless, but it hits different when you remember Bethesda has been making us wait 14 years for this game. 14 years since Skyrim, 8 years since the announcement, a teaser trailer of a mountain and radio silence ever since. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking. Rockstar takes forever between games too, chill out. And yeah, you're right, Rockstar does. GTA 5 came out in 2013, GTA 6 comes out this year, that's a 13-year gap. Red Dead Redemption 2 was 2018, whatever's next is still years away. But here's the difference, and this is the whole point of this video. Rockstar has earned the wait, Bethesda is squandering it. Rockstar can afford long gaps because they've proven game after game, decade after decade, that when they finally show up, they show up with a masterpiece. GTA 5 wasn't just fun. Red Dead 2 wasn't just fun. They were technical achievements, cultural events, games that redefine what open worlds could do. And here's the thing people miss. Rockstar's quest design is actually kind of generic and repetitive. Go here, shoot this guy, chase this car, but nobody cares because the world is alive, the story is layered, the characters are unforgettable, and the presentation is a level above anything else on the market. Every Rockstar game gets more ambitious, every Rockstar story gets more complex, every Rockstar world gets denser. But Bethesda's trajectory is the opposite. Every game gets simpler, every story gets shallower, every world gets emptier. Fallout 4's dialogue system was a downgrade from Fallout 3's. Starfield's world was a downgrade from anything they'd ever built. Their next game isn't building on the last one, it's shedding from it. Rockstar earns your patience by giving you more with every entry. Bethesda expects your patience while giving you less. So when Elder Scrolls 6 finally shows up after 8 years of a teaser trailer showing a fucking mountain, what is Bethesda actually going to have to offer? Their story writing has been on a decade-long decline. Their gameplay systems keep getting shallower. Their world building was the one thing they could still lean on, and Starfield lit that reputation on fire. Their studio just took a mass layoff, and Xbox has already publicly demonstrated by handing Fallout to Obsidian that they don't fully trust Bethesda to move their IPs forward anymore. Which means Elder Scrolls 6 isn't just carrying the weight of Bethesda's future. It's carrying it with less talent, less trust, and less time than the studio has ever had. And I don't think they're gonna pull it off. I don't say that with any joy. I actually love this studio. Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, New Vegas. That was a run. That was legendary. I would love for Elder Scrolls 6 to prove me wrong, but wanting something and expecting it are different things. Xbox needs a GTA 6 level release to claw back into relevance. That's the size of hit their financial situation actually requires, and I don't think Bethesda is capable of delivering that anymore. I'm not sure they even know what kind of game they want to make. Fallout 4 was more of an action game than an RPG. Is Elder Scrolls 6 even going to be an RPG? And here's the question that should keep every Bethesda developer up at night, because we've already seen the answer to it once this month. If Elder Scrolls 6 underperforms, what stops Xbox from doing to Bethesda exactly what they just did with Fallout? What stops Asher Sharma from taking the franchise, handing it to whoever's left standing, and quietly folding Bethesda into a support role on their own crown jewel? Because that's the reality now. Xbox is done being sentimental, and Bethesda has spent a decade using up every ounce of goodwill they had. The bell is ringing, and Elder Scrolls 6 is the only chance they've got left to make it stop. Anyways, I hope some of that made sense. Fun fact, this whole script started as a giant-ass rant I was gonna send to a friend. Too bad I couldn't spare all of you. Do you think I have a point? Do you think I'm just talking out of my ass? Let me know down in the comments. Any feedback is genuinely appreciated. This is my first crack at this, and I want to actually get better at it. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna focus this channel on yet. The plan is basically just to bitch and moan about the gaming industry until I'm sane again, so that's gonna be a while. I don't plan on just picking on Bethesda, just mostly. I didn't even get to touch on the tweet Bethesda sent out 2 days ago, confirming things we've known for a while, like the Fallout 3 and New Vegas remasters, but I'll save that for the next video. And I also plan to make sure the next videos are a lot shorter than this one. This is me while I'm editing. I just looked at the runtime and it ended up being 3 times as long as I wanted it to be, so definitely gonna work on that. But if you made it to the end, thank you so much. That said, plenty of other morons in this industry deserve their turn. Black Flag Resynced has been great, but my god, Ubisoft cannot help themselves. That's a rant for another day. I'm Texas Red. Subscribe if you want more of this, or don't. Phil Spencer wouldn't. Deuces. Mwah.
You want to die for this planet? Fine! What's 17 more years? Think! What will you have after 500 years?
16 times the detail.
What?
Right now our main Fallout development is on Fallout 76.
What?
Well, we're doing new Fallout stuff.
We're gonna be working with Obsidian.
Elder Scrolls 6 we're doing now.